So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty safe to say that absolutely nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing is sacred in Hollywood. Everything is going to be remade. Everything is going to have a live action. Nothing is sacred. And why? Because we got to make sure that modern audiences get to see representation in some sort of a film like Bambi that has animals in it. Yes, that's where people need to see representation. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't even know that they were making a live action Bambi. I honestly wish I could go back in time about an hour ago before I found out that they were making a live action Bambi. But apparently now the writer has just come out, because now, as you guys are aware, and it's going to get really good, the writer's strike is over. So all of the virtue signaling, all of the great stuff you guys love to talk about is going to be rampant. And now we have an example. So it says live action Bambi from Bounding Into Comics. Writer says film is being made so that kids can relate to it a little bit more, and hints that it will soften Bambi's mom's death. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, the funny thing is I'm pretty certain that I saw on Twitter that this same writer said that Bambi is going to relate to modern audiences. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that amazing fucking saying that has been around forever is now coming back, that the writer's strike is over. So let's get into this article, guys, from Bounding Into Comics. But of course, before we do, I'm Shadowban as hell. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. It says Lindsay Anderson Beer, probably a white liberal woman, who is currently promoting her Pet Sematary Bloodlines film, recently shared why she believes the upcoming live-action Bambi should be made in the first place. Beer was asked by Collider's Perry Nemiroff, I guess the question often is like, why? Why do we need another one? So going back to how you described it, Pet Sematary is something. What is something about the classic version of Bambi that you think is important to hold tight to? But also, how are you going to answer the question of why? Why you need a new version? Beer also answered, well, what's interesting about Bambi to me is that it absolutely is a classic, and it's a beautiful love poem with such artistry to it. I do think there's an entire generation of children who have never seen the original, and that's very different from, say, Little Mermaid or Aladdin or the 90s heyday films that they've definitely already seen. I can't tell you how many kids who've never seen Bambi, which is such a shame. Now, of course, it looks like this is the person, okay? This is the person. I was right. Before I even saw her picture, I already assumed white liberal woman. And what am I getting? A blonde white liberal woman. I am not surprised that this is going down the rabbit hole that it is. It says she continued, the thing is, it's such a gorgeous film. It's a little bit different tempo than modern audiences are used to. Oh, here we go with the modern audiences. I love it. From there, Beer shared why she believes children have not seen Bambi. There's a treatment of, not to spoil the plot, there's a treatment of the mom dying that I think some kids, some parents these days are more sensitive about than they were in the past. Apparently, I guess caring about your mom dying in the past was not such a big deal as it is now. So that's an interesting take. And I think that's one of the reasons why they haven't shown it to their children. But I do think that there is a way to update Bambi. And our take on it did give a little bit more of a scope to it. And I just think that to be able to bring it to life for these kids these days in a way that maybe they relate to it a little bit more would be of service to the original, she concluded. They always try to make it seem as if these modern audience updated films are somehow doing a service to the original, when we have seen time and time again that every single updated movie, every single live action, every single one that's supposed to be for modern audiences just completely disgraces the original, to the point where people actually go out and either buy the original or rewatch it, stream it, whatever the case may be. They go out and actually watch the original because the modern one was so bad. And they're going to be doing it with Bambi as well. I guarantee you they're going to sex swap Bambi. They're going to make Bambi into a female who is going to focus on becoming the leader that she always knew she could be. I try not to laugh at it, but you know, at the end of the day, that's true. Like, you guys know I'm right on that. They're going to make Bambi into a female, and they're going to make her into the leader that she could always be. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. Back in 2020, Deadline reported the Bambi movie would be made similar to Jon Favreau's 2019 The Lion King, using a photorealistic forest and animals. At the time, it was announced that Beer would be writing alongside Captain Marvel's Geneva Robertson Dworet. The film was being produced by Chris Weitz, Paul Weitz, and Andrew Miano. No director was announced at this time. Then it says in June of this year, Deadline reported that Women Talking director Sarah Polley was in talks to direct the film. Not only did they report Polley was in discussions to helm the film, but they also claimed that the film would feature music from Casey Musgrave. You know, as I'm reading this article and I'm thinking about a live action Bambi made for modern audiences, I just can't help but just like sigh. You know what I mean? Like, again, as I said earlier in the video, There's nothing sacred in this world anymore, not even Bambi. I mean, you got to imagine that Bambi probably would have been one of those TV shows, I'm sorry, those movies that would have never been remade, especially in live action, and yet here we are. You know what I mean? And I can't even be shocked because Snow White's very old, okay? Snow White was the original animated film for Disney back in the 1930s, and that got a live action remake. That got an update for modern audiences, and we all see how that's going. So I really shouldn't be too shocked that Bambi is getting the same treatment, but I just don't know why. Like, why are you going to make Bambi into some sort of like martyr for modern audiences? That doesn't make any sense. Guaranteed, it becomes a female, and I guarantee it becomes a black deer. I'm just saying, man, it's gonna happen. It says, interestingly, they also noted that Micah Fitzerman Blue and Noah Harpster has created the most recent draft of the script. The original Bambi film arrived in theaters back in 1942 and follows the story of Bambi, a young fawn, as he grows up in the forest, finds romance with a doe named Feline, and discovers the danger of man alongside his friends Thumper, the rabbit, and Flower, and the skunk. Listen, guys, you guys know the story. You guys should know the original Bambi at this point. This is going to be a dumpster fire. I don't know how else to put it other than that. If you go into this expecting this to be anything other than complete and utter trash, you clearly have not been watching modern Disney as it has been. So this is going to be really, really terrible, and we're going to be here for it as it eventually comes out. You know, unfortunately, it is going to come out. I'm sure they're going to make sure it comes out. And when it does, we will roast it as we always do. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.